Time to talk about the first film on my 100 film challenge of 2026, Ballerina. Ballerina was released last year, 2025, and is essentially the fifth film of the John Wick franchise. It follows a new character named Eve as she seeks out vengeance for her past wrongdoing. Now, this film being a John Wick film is both kind of a pro and a con. It's a pro because we get the same slickness and stylization of the action like we do in the other films, and we get a little bit extra lore and history of these characters and this universe. The downside to it being a spin-off, though, is that it's trying to shoehorn in things from other films to try and, reinforce the fact that this is a John Wick film. There've certainly been a lot of clones since the first film came out in 2014, and sadly there's some elements of this film that make it just feel like another one of those John Wick clones as opposed to its own feature film. The biggest problem that this film faces is in its writing, and reportedly it was a completely different thing from the start, and as it was developed it slowly became a John Wick spin-off rather than its own separate thing. And you really get a sense of that because in the past John Wick films, his drive, his motivation has been very creative, at least in the first film, and it's been kind of slowly building upon that, whereas this film, it's very generic why the main character is out for revenge. There's no real twist to the formula, there's no creativity in why, there's not even really a big twist. There's a reveal towards the end of the film that could have been interesting, but they really kind of breeze by it pretty quickly. And that's also the same kind of feeling I got from the new villain organization. There's a lot of open-ended stuff. There's not really a lot of explanation as to who they are, why they're doing what they're doing. The film does end on a sort of like cliffhanger. Let's continue the franchise. We'll explain more as the films go on. But I'm really getting tired of films not explaining everything because they're hoping to get a sequel. This film definitely feels like the definition of we're trying to do an action film and have a lot of fun with the action, and we're not really focusing on the story. We just need the story to be that thing that gets from one action scene to the next. Which, don't get me wrong, I do like those kinds of movies, but when you have a franchise like John Wick that's really building itself on its lore, on its legends, on its story, even when those stories are very thin, it still feels like it's building to a bigger universe. And this film really feels like it's trying to expand the universe, and at times it does, but at other times it really just feels like we have all these extra action scenes that we never got the chance to do for a John Wick film yet, so let's do them here. So in regards of being like a fun blockbuster, kind of turn your brain off and watch some fun action sequences kind of movie, this movie definitely satisfies that. But in terms of being a John Wick franchise film, I feel like this definitely missed the mark. So my recommendation for this movie basically boils down to, if you like popcorn action films like the John Wick franchise, you'll probably enjoy this film. If you never got anything out of the John Wick films, this is not going to be the film that's going to change your mind just because they've got new characters. It is very much still a John Wick type film. But if you are a diehard John Wick fan, I feel like this film's going to be a slight disappointment, but I still say check it out. So in terms of rating this film on a filmmaking level, I give it a 3 out of 5. I think the action is really well done. The acting is very well done. And I am curious to see if they do more of these films and if they can expand on the lore that they're starting here. But I do feel that this story could have used a little bit more polish. However, that being said, in terms of rewatchability, I give this film a 4 out of 5. Because I definitely could see myself putting this on when I'm looking for something that I just kind of need to decompress for a bit, throw on a senseless action movie. This is definitely one of those films I could see going to. That's my take on Ballerina. If you've seen the film, let me know what your thoughts are. And until the next review, thanks for watching.